Hello students, a warm welcome to all of you in ITLS Academy and also welcome to all in our 3 months online certification course on topic nanobiotechnology. Okay, today we will discuss about the nanofluids. What is a nanofluids, the properties of nanofluids and application of nanofluids. So we start today's lecture. Fluid. Now we understand what is a fluid. Fluids are a substance that have a capability to move or flow or can have a capability to move one place to another. Okay. Now, then what is a nanofluidics? If we study this fluid at nanoscale, then this study is known as a nanofluidics. Basically, in nanofluidics, we study or investigate the fluid flow and dynamic property of nanoparticle, ions and molecules. Okay, and this nanofluid have a unique potential for many biological applications. This nanofluidic have a potential for many nanobiotechnology application. Okay, if we compare the macro and microfluid with nanofluid, then this nanofluid have a unique availability. Due to this unique availability, this nanofluid used for the transport, for manipulating the transport phenomena of nanoparticle and biomolecules. Due to this nano availability of nanofluids, these particles have a ability to manipulating the transport phenomena of nanoparticle as well as biomolecule. Now we understand the basic theories. Rather, whether our fluidic knowledge in large scale can be applied at nanoscale, it become a vast argue. Whether our fluidic knowledge in large scale can be applied at nanofluidic is frequently argued issue. Okay, it is found that quantum theory still hold and we can straightly apply classical fluid theory as well as Navier-Stokes equation in nanofluid as long as minimum length scale is larger than 2 nanometer. However, we must incorporation dominant driving force and important surface effect in order to well explain some phenomena in nanofluids. We easily apply the concept of quantum theory and Navier-Stokes equation for the study of nanofluids. Okay, and the minimum length is for the implementation of these theories. The minimum length of nanofluid is large than 2 nanometer. Okay, now we understand the driving force in nanofluids. Now we understand the driving force in nanofluids. There are a lots of interactions of force. There are a lots of force are used or apply in nanofluids. First force is a electrostatic force. This is maybe attractive force, maybe repulsive force. Okay, this force apply between the surface and electrolyte or polyelectrolytes. First force. Second force is van der Waals force, and this force is applied when the nanoparticles or molecules get too close to each other or to the solid wall. Okay. Third force is electroosmotic force. This force caused by the ionic flow due to the surface change of the solid wall and apply electric field. And next force and fourth one is the adhesive force. And this force apply between the gas, fluid or solid wall. Okay. First force is a electrostatic force. Second is a van der Waals force. Third is a electroosmotic force. And fourth one is a adhesive force. Okay. Now, the surface tension due to the cohesive force in liquid is especially a form of van der Waals. In case of liquid, one force is applied, that is a cohesive force, and this cohesive force is a special form of van der Waals force. Okay, conventionally body force such as gravity, buoyancy are almost conventionally body force such as gravity, buoyancy are almost always neglected due to their small magnitude at nanoscale. At the nanoscale, the effect of gravity and the effect of buoyancy is always neglected. Okay. Next, the electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is a type of body force. Okay, this conventional body force are neglective, are negligible, but the electrophoresis is a type of body force if an object is specified with the net volume charge is extremely important in nanofluidics. This electrophoresis is very important in case of nanofluidics. Next is a magnetic force. Magnetic force is also a type of body force and can be used in driving the magnetic particle in nanofluidics. This hindrance diffusion is used for cell immune isolation, viral filtration, since the immunogenic components such as cytotoxic cells, macrophage, virus, antibody, cytokines can be effectively blocked by the size exclusion. While small molecules such as oxygen, glucose, insulin are sufficiently permeable. Okay, now we understand the electrokinetic in fluidics. This electrokinetic driving force is a most important phenomena in nanofluids. The first major electrokinetic phenomena is electrophoresis. Second is electroosmosis, and third is dielectric phoresis. Now we understand the electrophoresis. What is the electrophoresis phenomena? Whenever the motion of charged object relative to the stationary liquid via applied electric field. Okay, for example, DNA, gel, electrophoresis. For example, gel electrophoresis. This DNA is a negative charge molecule. Whenever we apply the electric field, then this negative charge DNA will move towards the positive charge. Okay. Next is the electroosmosis. What is electroosmosis phenomena? Whenever the motion of ionic fluid relative to the stationary charge surface under the external electric field. Next is the dielectrophoresis. What is a dielectrophoresis phenomena? According to the dielectrophoresis phenomena, this phenomena is caused by the gradient of non-uniform AC or DC electric field and difference in electrical permeabilities of the medium and polarized particle. These are the three main electrokinetic phenomena which are very used in nanofluids. Okay, sorry. This multiphase phenomena has widely used in many applications such as surface tension for the manufacturing the chemical and biological sensor. Okay, next, for example, by controlling the growth and aligning the polyline nanofibers on a flat or patterned surface. Now we discuss the multiphase phenomena in fluid. There are three main phenomena by which we achieved these multiphase phenomena. First phenomena is a surface tension, second phenomena is wetting, and third phenomena is contact angle. First, we understand what is a surface tension. Okay. First phenomena. Surface tension is the ability of liquid to maintain its shape under the external force. It is caused by the net cohesive force of the liquid near the surface. Okay. It will depend on the temperature. It will also affect or modify by the applied electric field, and this effect is termed as a electrowetting and electrowetting on a dielectric. Okay. Now we understand the second phenomenon, that is a wetting. Wetting is the ability of liquid to stay in contact with a solid, and this is balanced by the adhesive force tending to spread the liquid on the solid surface, and the surface tension which resists the adhesive force between the liquid and solid. Okay. Now we discuss the next phenomena, that is a control angle. This control angle either static or dynamic. Control angle is the angle at the liquid, solid and gas. Three-phase interfaces due to the balance of phase and phase interaction on a droplet. Okay, suppose this is a droplet and now this droplet is put into the liquid phase when this angle and this is a air or atmosphere. Now here this droplet is what is the contact angle? Contact angle is the angle at the liquid solid gas 3 interface due to the phase balance or phase to phase interaction on a droplet. It can be determined from the total surface energy, which is depend on the surface roughness, micro and nanostructure of the surface, and property of three phases. Okay. Multiphase phenomena has a lots of application in nanobiotechnology, such as surface treatment, chemical and biological sensor to control the growth and align the polyaligned nanofibers on a flat or pattern surface to achieve the superhydrophobicity and superhydrophilicity. Okay. Next, such surface coated with nanostructure has been used to stress the DNA molecules might be used to build up the DNA mapping. Okay, now what is a multi-phase phenomena? Multi-phase phenomena is described by the help of three phenomena. First is a surface tension, second is a wetting, and third is a contact angle. And this multi-phase phenomena has a lots of application in nanobiotechnology, such as surface treatment, chemical sensor, and nanobiosensors. Okay, and this phenomena is also used to control the growth and align the polyaligned nanofibers on a flat or pattern surface. We also achieve the super hydrophobicity and super hydrophilicity by the help of these multiple phenomena. Okay, and this multi-phase phenomena has a lots of application in biomedical field also. We also build up the DNA mapping by the help of this multi-phase phenomena. Okay, now we discuss the fabrication of nanofluidic devices. These nanofluidic devices is more complicated as compared to micro fluidic devices. Okay, first and all, size does not matter because nanofluidic device is small, thus complicated fabrication techniques are needed. Second, unlike microfluidic device does not necessarily need to be parallelized to achieve the mass production. Nanofluidic device usually cannot generate a desirable quality of product unless a large scale of parallelization can be realized. Thus, nanofluidic device usually has a parallel channel and require a special method and more time to fabrication. This is a very complicated techniques and this require complicated fabrication technique and this is a time taken process. And third one is, in many biomedical application, organic or polymer based nanofluids devices are more favorable due to the biocompatibility, cost effective, and disposability. Polymeric nanofluid devices are difficult to fabricate and novel techniques are always necessary. Okay, fourth one is, since our usable nanofluidic devices need to be integrated with micro, even macro scaled units such as reservoir, there is also a micro and nanoscale interface. Thus, different fabrication methods are required to integrate different units in such a multi-scale system. Okay, first is a fabrication techniques. Fabrication of nanofluids is very complicated due to its very small size. Second is a nanofluidic devices. Nanofluidic fabrication of nanofluidic devices very time taken process. Third is a, in biomedical application, organic and polymer based nanofluid devices are more favorable due to bioavailability and cost effectiveness. We integrate the nanofluidic devices with micro and macro scale units. Okay, now we discuss the next one. Now we discuss the biomedical application of nanofluids or nanofluids. Okay, biomolecules such as DNA, next RNA, next protein. These are the biomolecules. Okay, and these biomolecules are very important. Why these molecules important? Because these are the life forming biomolecules. Okay, in these micromolecules both RNA and DNA carry the genetic information. Okay, and DNA is more important in molecular biology and cellular process. DNA is the genetic material of humans or eukaryotic. Basically, RNA and DNA, And this RNA and DNA is a genetic material. What is a genetic material? Genetic material is a type of material which transfer from one generation to the another generation. And basically this DNA is more important in microbiology as well as cellular processes. Okay, particularly the determination of whole sequence of DNA human genome. If we're talking about the size of human genome, that is a 3 billion base pair. 3 billion base pair long DNA. This is the size of human genome. What is a genome? Genome is a complete set of genetic material. And these 3 billion base pair contain 2000 to 2500 genes. And these genes will code or responsible for the protein synthesis. Okay, is extremely important in medicine and health science since it provides a solution of a level of molecular biology and most effective way to diagnose, treat, prevent the human disease associated with the single genetic and polygenetic cause. Okay, now we understand the importance of human genome. Why this human genome study is important? This human genome study is very important to diagnose the disease, to prevent the disease which are associated to the single genetic and polygenetic cause. Okay, and these diseases are very extremely useful, and the study of human genome is very important for molecular biology, for medical sector and health science. Okay, DNA sequencing is a very complicated and time consuming process. There are a lots of methods are available to sequence the DNA, such as Sanger sequencing, high throughput sequencing, pyrosequencing, etc. Two key factors: the separation of DNA fragment with different size and map the DNA fragment might become a much faster and more efficient through the nano devices as compared to traditional gel and capillary electrophoresis technology. We through discuss we thoroughly discussing the nanofluidic based separation and mapping technique. Okay, why the by the help of this nanofluidic device, we easily separate out the DNA fragment and we easily map the DNA sequence. And this technique is very fast and efficient as compared to traditional method. And traditional methods are capillary electrophoresis and the Sanger sequencing, etc. Okay. Now we discuss the nanofluidic DNA separation. Basically, we use the electrophoresis techniques to separate the DNA molecules. And these techniques are pulse field gel electrophoresis, capillary gel electrophoresis, agarose gel electrophoresis, etc. These techniques separate the DNA according to their size and charge. Basically, these techniques separate the DNA according to their size and electrophoretic movability. Okay, both gel and capillary electrophoresis are mature techniques has been widely used. However, however they have their intrinsic limitation. Okay, for example, there is a size threshold for separation. Long DNA or fragment more than 100 kbps cannot be efficiently separated out by the help of this technique. Okay, also both technique, especially the gel electrophoresis, is very slow. In order to improve the efficiency and increase the throughput of DNA separation, people turn their attention to the nanofluidics devices since it has a potential to separate the DNA in all sizes. Okay, we can't separate out the DNA which have a more than 100 kbps, and these traditional methods is a very time taking process. To now, that's why we switch our knowledge towards the nanofluidic DNA separation, and these nanofluidic separation have a potential to separate the DNA according to their size. DNA separation in gel and entangled polymer matrix can be 5 different mechanisms depend on size of DNAs. First is a free migration. Second is a angstrom. The second is a angstrom filtration. Third one is a separation of repetition. Fourth one is a separation of collagen, and fifth one is a migration with orientation. These are the 5 different mechanisms to separate out the DNA on the basis of their size. Okay. Now we understand the nanofluidic DNA mapping. Basically, DNA sequencing is a very important technique in a field of medicine as well as health science. Okay, since single base resolution sequencing of large and chromosome type DNA molecules is a really complicated and very time taken process. Okay, that's why we might be more interested to determine the individual gene which contain a many base pair. Okay, to sequence the whole genome is a very complicated technique and very time taking process. That's why we will be interested to focus to determine the individual gene, and to map this individual gene location is known as a DNA mapping. Okay, in traditional method, first we cut the DNA, then we sequence the DNA, then we sequence the DNA, and this is a very time taken process. Okay, and we easy if the genome is small size, then we easily sequence the DNA. If the DNA is large size, then it will become complicated to sequence the whole genome. Okay, that's why here we use this nanofluid to map the DNA. Okay, if if the DNA first uniformly stretched, and we can determine the number of base pair by the optical measuring the length of each fragment cut by the restriction enzyme. This is called the optical mapping. We in optical mapping we cut the DNA. We cut the DNA by the help of restriction endonuclease. What is a restriction endonuclease enzyme? It will cut the DNA into different fragments. Okay, when we uniformly stretch this DNA. First we cut the DNA, then we uniformly stretch this DNA sequence. Then we uniformly stretch this DNA sequence. Then we perform optical measuring, and this process is known as a optical mapping. Okay, the original idea was to immobilize or elongate it or level the DNA in gelling agarose. Okay, to improve, the second generation of optical mapping is to stretch and immobilize the DNA molecule on a positively charged surface. Okay, firstly, we in optical mapping, first we immobilize the DNA onto a agarose surface. Okay, but in first generation, we in first generation of optical mapping, we immobilize the DNA molecule on the agarose surface. But in second generation, we use the positively charged surface to immobilize the DNA sequence. Okay. Optical restriction mapping can also be carried out after stretching the DNA on the hydrophobic surface with the descending minicus. Okay. However, stretched DNA are randomly distributed on the surface and then stretch amounts are not uniform. Thus, improve the optical mapping still faces the accuracy problem. Okay, the possible solution might use the DNA combine combine DNA combine on pattern surface. This method can uniformly stretch aligned DNA and thus it more accurate with optical mapping. Basically, whenever we perform the DNA mapping by the help of nanofluidic, then we perform the optical mapping. Okay, now we understand the nanofluids in gene delivery. Gene delivery is the process to introduce the foreign DNA into the cell. One of the most interesting non-viral gene delivery method is the electrophoration, is a type of physical method, okay, which is temporarily break the cell membrane using the pulse electric field, and cell membrane has a lipid bilayer. Thus, lipid bilayer structure with the thickness in 5 to 10 nanometer is almost non-conductive. Okay, electrophoration is a physical method to transfer the gene into the cell. Okay, when a cell is placed in an electric field, there is a potential difference across the membrane. This is called the transmembrane potential. Okay, the critical transmembrane potential to break the cell membrane is typically around the 1 volt. Considering the thickness of cell wall, the electric field across the thin cell membrane is huge is huge one around 108 voltage per meter. Thus, the cell membrane can be easily break down. Compared with bulk electrophoresis, which use relatively high voltage drop and cause the predominant amount of cell death. Recently, research on fluidic electrophoresis mainly focused on using the microfluidic device to facilitate and control the electrophoration and to minimize these efforts include the membrane sandwich electrophoration and continuous and semi-continuous flow electrophoresis. Fundamental investigation of single cell response in microelectroporation has been carried out by observing how the fluorescent dye enter the cells, thus the temporary open membrane. A cell membrane is either suspended or placed on a surface trapped with a microchannel or immobilized by the optical. Now we conclude today's lecture. Okay. Huh. We revisit some important transportic phenomena or major driving force in nanofluids. Okay, we already demonstrated the ability to control the dynamics of nanoparticles and biomolecules. We mainly focus the electrophoresis because it is the most important phenomena in nanofluids. Has been widely used in biomedical applications such as DNA separation, DNA mapping, and electroporation. Multiphase phenomena is also important because it is used to manipulate the nanoparticle and biomolecules, especially in DNA combining. Okay, in this today's lecture, we will discuss the the major driving phenomena in nanofluidics is adhesive force, is electrophoresis, electros. The major driving force in nanofluidics are electroporation, van der Waals interactions, electrostatic force. Next, electroporation, electroosmotic force, cohesive force, adhesive force, etc. This multi-phase phenomena is also depend on a three most important phenomena, and these phenomena are surface tension, wetting, and contact angle. And this multi-phase phenomena is most important phenomena because by the help of this multi-phase phenomena we easily manipulate the nanoparticle and biomolecules, especially for DNA combining and to create the DNA mapping. Okay, in nanofluidics, the electrophoresis is a most important phenomena. Why this phenomena is very important? Because this phenomena is widely used because this phenomena plays a most important role in biomedical applications such as DNA separation, DNA mapping, and electroporation. For the DNA mapping, here we use the optical mapping technique. In optical mapping technique, first we cut the DNA with the help of restriction endonuclease, then we measure the optical measuring to map the DNA molecules, to map the gene, to map the individual gene. Okay, this is all about today's lecture. Thank you so much. Please follow ITLS Academy on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and also get it on Google Play Store. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe ITLS Academy.